Okay, so we are continuing on. Fred and his buddies, they all stick together. The other sediments, they start to compact together. Others join little minerals. Now he and his friends are cemented together. So the compaction is the squashing of the sediments, the sand and soil. And then the cementation is the sediments harden and stick together. So we talked a little bit about this earlier on in the notes. Compaction is when things actually get crushed together. If you think about like a trash compactor, when you step into a garbage can, try to crush the stuff down and save yourself some space. And cementation, very similar to cement, like the sidewalks you see out in front of the school. Sediments harden and stick together. And so that's what's going on with cementation here. These guys are getting squashed. Water kind of dries out of it, and it causes them to harden and stick together. So now Fred's a sedimentary rock because he went through this process of cementation and compactation. So now he's a sedimentary rock. Okay, so he's happy, but then he starts to feel warm. He has started to sink into the Earth's crust, and unfortunately, he sunk near a magma chamber. So we know that magma, of course, is melted rock, extremely hot. Some of you even asked in class, like what would happen if you were to jump into a volcano. We talked about how you'd probably actually vaporize before you'd even hit the magma. But in the case of rock, they do actually go in, and so for him, the heat from the magma starts to morph him. So he starts to melt, he starts to change. We've talked about metamorphism as a change in a rock shape and composition affected by pressure and heat. So the heat is baking Fred, the pressure from sinking is pushing on him, and he can feel the structures inside him change. So this is, remember, Fred at this point, he'd been a sedimentary rock, so this is actually Fred and his buddies. They kind of all are together as he's changing in this particular uh, point in his journey. He can feel the structures inside him change. He's more like a crystal, so he's getting a different feel. This is, in fact, how like diamonds are formed. Immense pressure over time. Diamonds and coal, not charcoal like your Kingsford use in the barbecue, but coal like we would use to run a power plant are actually both forms of carbon. They come from more or less the same place, just a matter of how much pressure is put on them. So Fred's looking a little different. He's got new texture and new composition. He's a metamorphic rock. He's gone through the change. Metamorphism is a change. And so he's gone through the change and now he's a metamorphic rock. Okay? So now he's like, well, wait a minute, but can I get back with my igneous rock friends? So he travels home. He's sliding into a subduction zone. And so he gets a melting process. This is where heat changes something from a solid to a liquid. You've most likely seen ice cubes melt or popsicles melt. It's just heat changing it from a solid to a liquid. That's all that melting means. Don't need to overthink that one too much. That's just what we're looking at with that. So Fred makes it back, and now he's happy to be there. However, because he's gone through some changes, he's now actually an intrusive igneous rock, just like his brother Steve from earlier. So the cooling and solidification is the process of going from a liquid to a solid. Cooling is just what you think it is. It's heat being removed. And then solidification is the process of actually going from a liquid state back to a solid state. So this is like if we were to put water in an ice cube tray and stick it in the freezer, obviously that causes the solidification. Okay, so that's only one possible story. So I want you to take a look back at this chart. Consider another place to start, another story you could tell about a rock going through the environment. And you're going to create that story and include it in the exit. We'll come back to this vocabulary in just a minute. Include that in your exit slip. You're going to pick one type of rock and explain how it is formed by using the rock cycle. This is available in the Google form in your copy of the notes. If you're looking to fill in the vocabulary, we have the vocabulary restated here in the last slide on your screen, and you have a vocabulary sheet available to you. This vocab will, of course, be added to Quizlet for you to be able to access it there as well. So I'm going to be getting out of the way. If you wanted to have this, you can pause it. Got everything from weathering, erosion, deposition, compaction, and cementation here. Then metamorphism, stratification, melting, cooling, and solidification on this slide. I'll leave it up for a second, give you a good place to pause if you'd like to. And then in order to answer your exit ticket, I'm actually going to finish off here on this rock cycle slide so you have an opportunity to answer those questions. That's been our note.